Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Well, today I wanted to show you my 1970 Hoover Constellation. I figured since I'd done a video on my new old stock Maytag satellite, I thought I'd get my vintage 1970 Hoover Constellation out and make a video. So there's just a bit of dust on here from storage, but as you can see, it's all complete. I'm really pleased with this one. And this being from the early 70s, it's in the teal green, or I believe Hoover called this ocean green. But as you can see, we have the machine itself with the original cable. We have the two wands, we have the hose. It doesn't have the original curved end. The original one would have had a suction control on there, but that doesn't matter. We have the original floor tool. It's not very good. I do have a different floor tool. It's a bit worn, this one, but it keeps the machine original. We have the dusting brush, the upholstery nozzle, the crevice tool, two original 1970s dust bags, and of course the manual, but I'll show you all this individually. But here's just a sort of aerial shot of the whole machine and its accessories. So just before I take you on a tour around the machine and show you the cleaning tools, first of all I thought I'd show you the manual and the original dust bags that came with this machine. So as you can see, here are the original dust bags from the 1970s. These are genuine Constellation bags and I have two of them, as you can see. So these being from the 70s, they're that sort of tinted blue colour, which is really cool. And as you can see, they've got some nice printing on there. And they're also open at one end, so you could reuse them, which is what people used to do back in those days to save money or whatever. And as you can see, they're just a single layer. You can see my fingers through there. I don't really think they did double layer bags back in those days. But anyway, that's the original bags. So here we have the manual. As you can see, it says instructions for the use and care of your new Hoover Constellation Model 867A. As you can see, that's what I'm missing, the original curved end with the suction regulator slider. As you can see, those are those bags that I've just shown you. And if we have the guarantee on the back there. It says Hoover Limited, Pervale, Greenford, Middlesex. So there we go. That's the manual and the dust bags. Alright, now let's have a look at the cleaning tools. So I'm going to start with the floor tool. So as you can see, the floor tool that comes with this particular Constellation was a pretty standard Hoover floor tool at the time. Very traditional Hoover floor tool. It's got a nice Hoover roundel in the middle there. Got a nice bit of detailing up top there. But this being a 70s variant of this nozzle, it has this plastic neck on it. Earlier ones would have had a long metal curved neck. But as you can see, this is quite worn, so a lot of suction gets lost there, which makes this nozzle not very good, to be fair. But you know, it's not too big of a deal. It doesn't get used a whole lot. So we've got the little pip there for the click pip fitting that Hoover used to use. On the back here we have the settings 1 and 2 for carpets and hard floors. Underneath we have this nice metal sole plate. Have two rollers at the top there, and we have this rubber teeth effect here, which helps with lints and hairs, etc. There's the suction inlet. And when you set it to number 1, the brushes pop out for hard floors, as you can see, and then they float. Got a little glider at the back there which is metal, so I don't know how good this would be on hard floors at not scratching them, but anyway, to keep the brushes back in like that for carpets, you press down on them and set it back to number 2, and that makes them flush for cleaning carpets. So that's the floor tool. Here are the 2 aluminium ones. I think they're made of aluminium anyway. But they're pretty typical 1970s Hoover ones. We have the plastic release catch there, and we have the click pip fitting on this end, and we have a little rubber seal in there which seals in the suction when you put a cleaning tool on the end. So those are the ones, both identical, as you can see. So there we go, that's the ones. These are the 3 small nozzles. So here we have the crevice tool, some nice Hoover branding on it there. There's a little click pip fitting there. It's a decent length crevice tool really. So that's that. So here we have the dusting brush. Again, some nice Hoover branding on it there. We have the click pip fitting. And the bristles are relatively soft. So that's the dusting brush. And then here we have the upholstery nozzle, or the all-purpose nozzle I think Hoover called this. We have the click pip fitting there, and we have some really effective rubber teeth, just like on the floor nozzle that I showed you. Have these rubber teeth, and they really help pick up the lint and hairs. We have the suction opening there, so this is a really effective nozzle. This is one of my favourite Hoover nozzles. It really does a good job. Very good for the stairs and upholstery. So there we go, those are the 3 small cleaning tools. Pretty standard vintage Hoover cleaning tools that they used to supply. So there we go. Finally here we have the hose. So as you can see, it's in that sort of off-white colour, which was very typical for Hoover to use that colour for their accessories back in those days. So here we have the end that goes into the machine itself. It's got a nice metal catch. It really makes a nice satisfying click when you attach it to the machine. We have the rubber end here with the Hoover logo on it. Now it's a decent length hose. Hoover called this hose a double stretch hose because it was supposed to stretch to double its length, and it probably does, to be honest. They weren't that stretchy, but you know, it was an early type of stretch hose. So we have the same rubber end for the grip there on the handle end. Here's the curved piece, and as I said, it should have a suction regulator slider on there. Again, this is aluminium, and we have the release catch. So when you put a cleaning tool in, it clicks in like that and doesn't come out until you press the release catch, and that's what Hoover called the click pip fitting. Just like the ones, we have the little seal in there. So there we go, that's the hose. Let's have a look at the machine itself. Alright, so here's the Constellation itself. So here's the card. As you can see, it has the original white card, which matches the white top of the machine. So very typical of Hoover back then, or even Hoover now. It's got a very short card, but at least it's original, and it's got a nice MK plug on there, a period correct plug. They are very good plugs, those. It's a nice design. Anyway, let's just move the card out the way there, and we'll have a look at the machine itself. So as you can see, it's a very space age, very modern looking vacuum cleaner for its time. A very iconic design. It's very nice styling, I think. So it's an all metal construction. Very, very well built vacuum cleaner this, built to last. You know, you might see old catalogue scans of vacuums like this and think, gosh, £50, that's quite cheap, isn't it? Well, back in those days, that was a lot of money. I mean, people probably only got about £15 to £20 a week wages, so you know, you would have had to save to buy something like this. I mean, this would probably cost you about £400 now if they made it to this quality these days. So, you know, anyway, going off track a bit. But I think you'll agree it's in very good condition for its age. There's a few rust spots on it and a bit of chips and things where the paint's coming off on the top here, and a few little dints here and there, but overall for its age it's in very good shape. And as I said earlier, this is in the ocean green colour, probably one of the rarer colours of Constellation. The only flimsy part on the Constellation, the older ones, is this plastic handle. It's quite thin plastic, so you know it could be quite fragile. I wouldn't really want to trust carrying it around with that too much. Probably originally when it was new that wouldn't have been a problem, but because of its being so old, it's probably quite brittle now. But anyway, let's have a little look around this machine. So I love the two-tone effect of old Hoover cleaners like this, where you had sort of the white with a contrasting colour. I think it looks really cool. So we have the white top and the ocean green base here. As I said, there's the handle there. Here we have the inlet where the hose plugs into. We've got a nice cast metal Hoover roundel. There we have the metal hinge, so this white top will hinge down, giving you access to the bag inside. Here we have the on-off switch. It's a toggle, as you can see, and it works perfectly. Many a times these are quite worn out now and they don't click on and off properly. But there we are, that's the base. Got a metal skirt on it as well. The only problem with that is if you bang it down or it gets dropped and this bends, it will no longer float correctly. But anyway, we've got a rubber bumper, which runs all the way around. Round to the back here we have the cord where it exits the machine, or enters the machine, whichever you want to say. It's got a nice strain relief on it there to stop the cord being pulled too tight and breaking the connection. Now the cord can either be stored around the base, oops, like that, as you can see, or as I do, and as probably what most people did, was wrap it around the handle. As you can see, it's shaped so the cord will store around the handle. It makes this most wonderful sound of the cord hitting the metal. Anyway, that's how I'd store it. I think it's much easier to get off. So let's just take this off quickly here. So also at the back here we have the catch. So you pop that open like that, and then the top hinges, giving us access to the bag inside. So it just lifts off. As you can see, it still has the original metal slide clip which seals the open end of the bag. Many a times these get lost because people just discard them when if they've used generic bags or more modern bags that are sealed already, a non-reusable type, then they don't see the use for this, so they just throw it away. So that's good to see that it's still got that. So here we have inside here, this is the pre-motor filter. These can be quite a pain to get back on once you take them off, but it's held on by this metal spring wire thing. As you can see, it's sort of a bit springy. And the pre-motor filter is just this round piece of cloth. This isn't the original filter. The original one would have been sort of grey with little flecks of different colour wadding. So this has been replaced at some point. But anyway, that's the pre-filter. So that's the inside there. The motor's just under there. Very nice metal construction, as I said. That's where your bag slides onto. And in here we have a little gasket which is supposed to seal the top half of the Constellation to the collar on the bag. So, as I said, these can be quite tricky to get back on, the wire. But with this being a filter that's been on there already, it should be quite easy, he says. Yeah. Well, no. There we go. That's on. And the bag just slides back in place. Like that. And we can close that up and close the latch on the back there. Like that. So underneath here we have the exhaust. Now you'll notice that the opening on the exhaust port there is the same as the hose inlet on the top of the machine here. And that's because you could unplug the hose from the top of the machine and plug it onto the exhaust vent here and use the machine as a blower. That was very typical of a cylinder vacuum back in those days. But the underside's in good condition. It's a bit rusted, the paint's come off a bit there, but you know, that's to be expected. So I'll just show you the rating sticker here. I'll just zoom in on that. So there's the rating sticker there. You can just pause there if you want to read that. I won't bother reading it out, but this machine was made in June 1970. Alright, so just before I stick the cleaning tools on and show you the machine in action, I just thought I'd quickly show you what the Constellations were known for, and that's floating about. Now because the exhaust comes out at the bottom and the base is flat, it allows the machine to float on a cushion of air. So I'll just quickly demonstrate that. So as you can see, it's not quite as dramatic as the Maytag satellite, which I recently unboxed and demonstrated on my channel, but this has a 600 watt motor, so you know, it's not as powerful. But as you can see, it really does float around quite well, and yeah, it's a really iconic design. So there we go. The motor's a little bit ropey, as you could hear on the rundown, but you know, it's an old machine, so we can't expect it to be beautifully smooth. So let's just pop the tools on and we'll have a bit of a demo of this machine. So I've just emptied the bin on my Dyson V10 and I've got the regular, you know, carpet and floor nozzle that came standard with this Hoover Constellation. So I'm not expecting miracles because, as I said, this floor head is a little bit worn, so it'll probably leak a bit of suction. But we'll just see how it does anyway, just for laughs and giggles. So here we go. Now, I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by that. That is really cool. Considering how much, I mean, look at that. How much of a gap there is there. I mean, it really did pick up well. Seems that the brush has come a bit loose there somehow, but there's a few hairs and things left in the nozzle. But one thing I forgot to mention is that this red strip here was all worn out, and just by sheer luck I found a replacement one on eBay. You know, I'm really lucky sometimes, but yeah, so I replaced that, so that's basically brand new. But I mean, that really did a good job. So let's just get a different angle and we'll have a look at it in use. So on my sofa here I've put down some dust and some dog hairs. It's just general dust and dirt. And I'm just going to show you the upholstery nozzle, or all-purpose nozzle as Hoover called this. And I want to show you really how effective this is at cleaning up dirt off upholstery or stairs. So here we go. As you can see, the tool's left pretty clean. So it's really an effective nozzle, this, for cleaning upholstery. As you can see, it did a really good job. So here we have the dusting brush, which it does exactly what the name suggests. Dust. So we've got some flour on this mantelpiece here, so let's see if we can clean it up with this 1970 Hoover Constellation with its dusting brush attached. So here goes. Well, it appears we've had some red lentils spilt along the edge of my fireplace here, and also on the marble front as well. And there's also a few stray M&Ms at the back there that have made their way onto the fireplace somehow. But not to worry, we have just the thing. We have the crevice tool, and this time I've got it with one extension wand attached onto the curved wand as well. So we'll turn this on and see if we can clear this up here. Alright then, so I think that just about concludes my overview and demonstration on this really cool 1970 ocean green Hoover Constellation. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, hopefully I've not bored you too much once again. And as you can see, it's an old girl, but it really does pack a punch. It really still picks up the dirt very well, and it's complete, which is a bonus. So like I said, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, then please subscribe if you want to see more from me, and be sure to click the little bell icon, that way you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. So for my regular viewers, please comment below if you have any questions, like if you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care.